It was a calm Saturday morning in our suburban neighborhood in Springfield, Illinois. The kind of morning where the sunlight is warm but not too bright, the breeze is gentle, and the sound of someone mowing their lawn hums faintly in the distance. I was in the kitchen, sipping on my second cup of coffee, when I realized I hadn't heard a single sound from my 14-year-old son, Ethan, all morning. This wasn't unusual in itself. Teenagers can be like hibernating bears when left alone, but usually there was some noise, the faint rumble of his music, the clicking of his keyboard, or the occasional muffled laughter from his friends on the headset. But today, nothing. Absolute silence. As a parent, silence is never as comforting as it sounds. Silence means something is up. And so, like any concerned mother, I decided to investigate. I padded down the hallway toward Ethan's room. The door was slightly ajar, but he had a habit of closing it when he didn't want to be disturbed. I peeked inside, quietly. He was sitting cross-legged on his bed, his laptop perched on his knees, and his face lit up by the blue glow of the screen. I stepped inside without making a sound, but as soon as I got close enough to see what was on his laptop, my stomach lurched. It wasn't what you might think, it wasn't anything inappropriate, but it was still shocking in its own way. Ethan was glued to a video titled The 24-Hour Abandoned Theme Park Challenge, in which a group of young adults had apparently snuck into a deserted amusement park and were exploring dangerous, crumbling rides in the dead of night. Ethan James Parker, I said in that tone only mothers have, the one that's half command, half warning. He nearly jumped out of his skin.
Mom.
What the? You scared me. He slammed the laptop shut a little too quickly. What were you watching? I asked, raising an eyebrow. It's nothing, he muttered, which of course meant it was something. I motioned for him to hand over the laptop. If it's nothing, then you won't mind showing me. He groaned, muttered something under his breath, and reluctantly opened it again. The paused video showed a shaky camera shot of a rusted Ferris wheel, tilted at an angle that looked dangerously close to collapsing. Ethan, I began, my voice slow and deliberate. These people are trespassing. And that place looks like it's one stiff breeze away from falling apart. This isn't safe. Why are you watching this? He shrugged. It's just cool. And they're popular on YouTube. They get millions of views. They're basically famous. I took a deep breath. Here it was the allure of internet fame. I could almost see the gears turning in his head, imagining himself doing something equally reckless and going viral overnight. So, you want to do something like this? I asked cautiously. He didn't meet my eyes. Maybe. I mean, it's not that dangerous if you're careful. Careful? I repeated, my voice a mix of disbelief and concern. They're walking on a roller coaster track without safety gear. He tried to laugh it off, but I could see the spark in his eyes. This wasn't going to go away with one stern lecture. If anything, telling him no outright would probably make him want to do it more. And that's when an idea hit me. All right, I said suddenly. If you're so fascinated by exploring dangerous places, then we're going on an adventure. His head shot up. Wait, what? Get your sneakers. We're leaving in 20 minutes. Part 2. The Safer Adventure. We drove out of Springfield and into the countryside. Ethan kept pestering me with questions, but I didn't give away the plan. After about 40 minutes, we pulled into the parking lot of a local historical site, an abandoned grain mill that had been turned into a supervised educational tour spot. This, I announced, is where we're going exploring. Ethan gave me a look that said I had just suggested we watch paint dry. Mom, this is not the same thing. Maybe not, I admitted, but you're going to learn something and have an adventure at the same time, without breaking any laws. A friendly guide greeted us, handing us hard hats and safety vests. The old mill was built in 1892, he explained. We've preserved much of the original equipment. Please stick with the group at all times. As we walked through the creaky wooden floors and past towering machinery, I watched Ethan's curiosity slowly replace his boredom. He peppered the guide with questions about how the mill worked, how dangerous it was in its heyday, and what had caused it to shut down. At one point, the guide took us into a restricted section where the floor had partially collapsed, but it was securely roped off. Back when this place was abandoned, Kids used to sneak in here all the time, he said. A few even got hurt. That's why the city took over and made it safe. Ethan glanced at me. So, like those YouTubers? Exactly, I said. But those kids didn't get millions of views, they got broken bones. By the time the tour ended, Ethan was actually smiling. On the drive home, he admitted, "Okay, this was kind of cool. But the video was still cooler." I laughed. Then maybe you should make your own, but the safe version. Part 3. The real surprise. That night, Ethan came into the living room with his phone. "Mom, can you help me film something tomorrow?" "Sure," I said cautiously. "What's the plan?" He grinned. "A series called Safe But Awesome Adventures. First episode, the old grain mill. We'll add fun facts, drone shots, and everything." And so, the next day, we filmed it together. Ethan narrated with enthusiasm, mixing history with humor, and by the end, we had a surprisingly entertaining video. He edited it himself and uploaded it to his small YouTube channel. Within a week, it had more views than anything he'd ever posted. Not millions, but enough to make him proud, and more importantly, enough to make him realize he didn't have to risk his life for good content. One evening, I found him editing the next episode about a nature trail we'd hiked. He looked up at me and said, "You know, Mom, maybe you were right. You can still be cool, without doing dumb stuff." I smiled. "That's the nicest thing you've said to me in years." He rolled his eyes. "Don't get used to it." But I could tell he meant it. And in that moment, I knew the shocking video I'd caught him watching had led to something even more surprising, a way for us to bond, create, and maybe, just maybe, keep him out of trouble.